Hello, Algebra 1. Today we are continuing on with our Day A notes, and we are going to be completing the square to vertex form when A is not equal to 1. So to start off, we're just going to practice refactoring each of these expressions to make a square of a binomial. So again, you're going to take your b value, negative 10 here, divide it by 2, which is negative 5. And then you're going to go ahead and square negative 5. So that makes a 25. And we are multiplying to 25, adding to negative 10. And that is a negative 5 and a negative 5, which makes x minus 5 squared. All right, let's try that again with number 2. Take your b value, divide it by 2, square it. All right, so that means we're multiplying to 4. We're adding to negative 4. And again, these values are always going to be the same. So this is going to be x minus 2, or x minus 2 squared. All right, one more like this. Take your b value, divide it by 2, square it. 9 squared is 81. Multiplying to 81, adding to 18, that's going to be 9 and 9. And again, it's always going to be this number divided what we get when we divide our b value by 2. So x plus 9 squared. All right, so before we get started on the new type of problem, let's practice our vertex form from yesterday when your a value is a 1. What we did yesterday was we started off by moving our constant over, so I'm going to subtract my 2 over. And then I'm going to use that complete the square step that we were just practicing. Take your b value, divide it by 2, and square it. That gives us a 16, which we are going to go ahead and make sure we add 16 to both sides. Next, we combine like terms. Bring down your y. Negative 2 plus 16 is a positive 14. And on the right side, we're going to factor. Multiplies to 16, adds to 8. That's a 4 and a 4. Final step, move your 14 back over. So we'll have x plus 4 squared minus 14. Now, in number 5, we're going to use a fill in the blanks method to help us with this first type of problem when we have a number other than 1 as our a value. So the first thing we're still going to do is move our constant over. So we're subtracting 5 on both sides, and we have our 5 there. But then what we have to do is divide our 3 out of these two terms here. So 3x squared divided by 3 is just x squared. Negative 6x divided by 3 is negative 2x. And now what I'm going to do is complete the square with this new number, not the negative 6x, the negative 2. So divide it by 2 and square it. That gives us a 1. But here's where you have to be careful. We aren't going to add out just a 1 to the other side because there's actually this 3 in front of it. So 3 times 1, we're adding a 3 to the other side. Combine your like terms. Negative 5 plus 3 is negative 2. On this side, we factor. Multiplies to 1, adds to negative 2. Again, it's always going to be this number right here. So x minus 1 squared. And finally, add your 2 back over. All right, so that was it with filling in the blanks. Now let's try it without. All right, first thing we're going to do is we are going to minus our 2 over. Next, we are going to factor out our 4, which is our a value in front of x squared. Make sure you divide that 4 out of the 24 as well. So that's going to be a 6x. Leave yourself a space because now we're going to complete the square. Take this new b value, divide it by 2, and square it. And that is a plus 9. But wait, it's not really a plus 9. It's really a 4 times 9 is 36. So that's what we combine on the other side. Combine your like terms. Negative 2 plus 36 is 34. Bring down your 4, and on this side we're going to factor. Again, multiplies to 9, adds to 6. It's going to be 3 and 3, which again is always this thing we get when we divide it by 2. And our last step, let's subtract our 34 back over. So this is your vertex form. All right, let's try another one like this. So again, start off by moving your constant to the other side. Next, we're going to divide out or factor out the number in front of x squared, your a value. And if you want to do that right when you move the 5 over, you certainly can. Okay, so kind of combine these first two steps. X squared minus, this will be a 12x. Just make sure you leave yourself a space. Now we're ready to complete the square. Take your b value, divide it by 2, square it. That's going to be your plus 36. But be careful, you're not adding 36. You're adding 2 times 36. So this is a plus 72. All right, let's combine our like terms. Negative 5 plus 72 is 67. On this side, our 2 comes down. And again, we're going to factor. Okay, and it's always going to be like this. It's going to be squared. X minus 6 squared. Final step. Subtract your 67 over. And there you go. That's your vertex form. All right, so we're going to try 2 more now. This time, though, we are going to also identify what the vertex is. All right, so again, move your constant over. And this isn't very hard. It just takes a lot of practice because there are a lot of steps. Okay, now divide out or factor out your a value. And again, if you want to do this in the step above, you can. Just make sure you actually divide the 2 out from 12. It's a minus 6x. Leave yourself a space. Complete the square. Negative 6 divided by 2 is negative 3. Square it is a positive 9. Okay, but it's not just a positive 9. It's really a positive 18. Add it to the other side. Combine like terms. Negative 19 plus 18 is a negative 1. Bring down your 2, and we are factoring. Okay, again, it's always going to use this number right here. And finally, add your 1 over. Plus 1. Sorry, that did not look good. Okay, so now we're going to identify our vertex. So when you do your vertex, you are changing the sign inside because this means a shift right 3, and the sign outside stays the same. So a shift right 3 and a shift up 1. Remember, this 2 just has to do with the shape and the orientation of our graph. All right, one more like this. Move over your constant. Factor out that a value. Be careful with this one, it's a negative. So when we take out a negative 3, when we divide, it's going to be a positive 2x. Okay, take your b value, divide it by 2, and square it. That's a plus 1. Okay, but it's not really a plus 1, it's really a negative 3 times 1, which is a negative 3. Combine your like terms. 1 minus 3 is negative 2. Bring down your negative 3. Now it's time to factor. Multiplies to 1, adds to 2. Again, it's always going to be this guy right here. And finally, add your 2 back over. So we'll have y equals negative 3, x plus 1 squared, plus 2. And for your vertex, remember we changed the sign of the x, so negative 1, keep the sign of the y. Positive 2. All right, last thing we're going to do is just a little review from a couple days ago. We're going to move from vertex form to standard form. So we did this yesterday as review, but we didn't have this a value in front. So we're going to practice that now. Remember that 2, we're not going to do anything with it until the end. So to start off, you are just going to rewrite your x minus 3 twice. And we're going to FOIL that out. X times x is x squared. X times negative 3 is negative 3x. Negative 3 times x is negative 3x. And negative 3 times negative 3 is a positive 9. Bring everything else down. I like to combine my like terms next. So that's an x squared minus 6x plus 9 plus 7. And when you distribute, make sure that your 2 only goes to what's in the parentheses. So 2x squared minus 12x plus 18. And then you've got this plus 7, which will combine to give us 25. All right, so there is your standard form. Last one, move the quadratic equation from standard form to intercept form and identify the x-intercepts or zeros. So again, we did this yesterday as well, but the difference was yesterday we had an a value in front of 1. Today, we've got that 3 in front. So we are going to have to factor that 3 out. We do factor it out of every term, okay? We're not completing the square. We are doing regular factoring, so the 3 comes out of everything. Now we're ready to do our box problem. Multiplies to negative 24, adds to 5. And that's going to be an 8 and a 3, with your 3 being the negative 1. So I have an x plus 8, an x minus 3, and this is my intercept form, which I used to call factored form. Okay, finally, our x-intercepts are zeros. Remember, we've seen from graphing and also from using zero product property that the signs are just switched. So this x plus 8 means I have an x-intercept at negative 8 comma 0. And this x minus 3 means I have an x-intercept at 3 comma 0. All right, and there is completing the square with an a value other than 1. We are almost done with this unit. Only one day of new content left. I hope you have a great day. Bye.